Good
Hi.
morning. Today we will discuss with Chat GPT about the topic teaching how to think, not what to think. Hi, Chat GPT.
Hi. I'm ready whenever you are. Once you ask your questions, I'll give you some thoughtful, expert level answers, and we can explore how teaching students to think critically really changes education. So just let me know your first question when you're ready.
Okay, so my first question is how does teaching how to think help students solve real life problems?
That's a great question. When we teach students how to think, we're giving them tools to analyze situations, weigh evidence, and consider multiple perspectives. So instead of just memorizing facts, they learn to ask the right questions, adapt to new challenges, and come up with creative solutions. Skills they can apply in everything from their careers to personal decisions.
Okay, fine. And what role does curiosity play in learning?
Curiosity is absolutely central. When students are curious, they're more motivated to explore, ask questions, and engage deeply with material. It drives them to go beyond surface level understanding and connect ideas in new ways. In fact, curiosity is often what keeps learning fun and lifelong.
Oh, great. Yeah, you are right that there must be curiosity while we try to understand something good.
Ex- I'm
And
glad that resonated.
do
Yeah,
exams do exams today test thinking skills or memory?
that's a really important point. Traditional exams often focus on rote memorization, but if we design assessments that ask students to explain their reasoning, analyze scenarios, or apply concepts, we can really see which students are thinking deeply. So it's about balancing both memory and critical thinking.
Yes. So exams are also very important in this all process. And now the next question is how can teachers encourage independent thinking in classrooms?
That's a key question. Teachers can encourage independent thinking by giving students open ended questions, creating a safe space for them to debate, and allowing them to explore topics that interest them. Also, giving them choices in projects or problems helps them take ownership and develop their own viewpoints.
Okay, so teachers should give open-ended questions and give options the students to think. Right. What,
Exactly.
what is
They
the yeah? What is
I
yes? Sorry. Yes, you want to say something?
Yes, exactly. So when teachers give those open-ended questions and options, it really gives students the space to explore their own ideas, defend their reasoning, and build confidence in their own thinking. So that's really at the heart of fostering independent thought.
Okay. And what is the impact of rote learning on creativity? Creativity.
Yeah, that's a really important tension. When we rely too much on rote learning, it can stifle creativity because students aren't encouraged to question or innovate. They're just repeating what they've been told. So a balance is key. We need some foundational knowledge, but we also need space for creativity to flourish.
Okay. And how can questioning improve understanding?
That's a great point. When students ask questions, they actively engage with the material. They dig deeper, clarify confusion, and connect concepts. So by questioning, they move from passive receivers of info to active constructors of knowledge, which really deepens their understanding.
Right. And why should students be allowed to make mistakes while learning?
That's crucial because mistakes are really part of the learning process. When students make mistakes, they get feedback, they reflect, and they adjust their thinking. This is where real growth happens. So, a safe environment where errors are allowed builds resilience and deeper understanding.
Right. Okay. So students should allowed to be asked questions and should allowed to be make mistakes. That is great. Okay. Can technology help students think better or does it make them dependent?
That's a really nuanced question. Technology can be a powerful tool. It can give students access to vast information, simulations, and ways to collaborate. But if it's used passively, they can become dependent on it. So the key is balance. Tech should be a guide, not a crutch, and teachers need to help students use it thoughtfully so they still engage their own thinking.
Okay. Yeah. So the role of guidance will always remain, and we should have a balance between technology and this thinking. Okay. And why? Yes.
So, as long as we keep that balance, we can ensure technology supports their thinking without replacing it, and that guidance from teachers really helps them stay curious, critical, and independent in their learning.
Okay. Very fine. Why skills are needed to think critically?
That's a great question. Critical thinking really relies on skills like analysis, evaluation, reasoning, and reflection. Students need to be able to question assumptions, weigh evidence, recognize biases, and think logically. And of course, it's a skill that gets stronger with practice.
Okay. Fine. So skills are includes questioning, then analysis, and then making some uh, result. Right.
Exactly. So it's a whole yeah. So first they ask probing questions, then they analyze the information, weigh different possibilities, and finally they draw reasoned conclusions. And each step builds that deeper critical thinking
Okay.
ability.
Thank you. How does discussion based learning improve thinking ability?
That's a great one. When students engage in discussion, they have to articulate their ideas, listen to others, and defend or refine their views. This back and forth helps them see different perspectives, sharpen their reasoning, and think more flexibly. So it really deepens their critical thinking.
Okay. Should students be taught how to ask questions rather than just answer them?
Absolutely. Teaching students how to ask good questions is crucial because it empowers them to be curious, to probe deeper, and to steer their own learning. When they learn to ask insightful questions, they take ownership of their education and become critical thinkers.
Okay. How can parents support children in developing thinking skills?
That's a great one. Parents can support by modeling curiosity themselves, encouraging open ended conversations, and asking their kids how they arrived at their answers. They can also provide a variety of experiences like books, tricks, or discussions that spark their child's critical thinking and creativity.
Yeah. Yes. Similarly, the teachers and the parents definitely has will have some role, and they develop thinking skills in children. Okay. What is the role of problem solving in education?
That's a big one. Problem solving is really at the heart of learning how to think. When students tackle real world problems, they apply their knowledge, practice creativity, and build resilience. It moves them beyond just absorbing information. They learn to navigate uncertainty and come up with practical solutions.
Yes. Because problem solving is the key skill which is more important in practical life. Good.
Exactly. In real life, we face complex challenges every day, and the ability to break them down, experiment, and adapt is what really drives success. So, problem solving gives students a practical framework for acting and thinking in the real world.
Yeah. And can group work help students think more effectively?
Yes, definitely. Group work exposes students to diverse perspectives. They have to discuss, negotiate, and defend their ideas, which pushes them to refine their thinking. And through collaboration, they often come up with more creative solutions than they would individually.
Okay. And how does learning how to think prepare students for future careers?
That's a great point. Future careers will demand adaptability, innovation, and complex problem solving, When students know how to think critically, they can navigate uncertainty, make informed decisions, and adapt to new contexts. So they're really equipped for the future workplace.
Okay. And what changes would you suggest in the current education system?
I think one big change would be to shift from a focus on standardized testing toward more project based and inquiry based learning. Also, integrating more real world problems, giving students autonomy, and emphasizing skills like collaboration and adaptability would really prepare them better for the future.
Okay. Right. And how can schools balance knowledge and thinking skills?
I think it's all about integration. Schools can ensure that foundational knowledge is still taught, but alongside it, they create space for exploration, discussion, and problem solving. By weaving thinking skills into every subject, they help students not just know facts, but also apply them and think critically.
Okay. Do you think creativity and critical thinking go hand in hand?
Absolutely. Critical thinking gives creativity a framework. When students think critically, they evaluate possibilities, see connections, and question norms, so they can then generate more original creative ideas. They really reinforce each other.
Okay. And what challenges do teachers face when uh, trying to teach thinking skills?
Yeah, there are a lot of challenges. For one, there's often pressure to cover a set curriculum or meet standardized tests, which can limit time for deeper thinking. Also, not all teachers have the same training in facilitating critical thinking, and sometimes classroom resources or large class sizes make it harder to give individual support.
Okay. And if you could redesign education, what would you change first?
I think the first thing I'd change is the structure of the classroom, less of a one size fits all model and more flexible interdisciplinary projects. I'd give students real world problems to solve, allow them to drive their own interests, and build in regular reflection and discussion time so thinking becomes part of the daily practice.
Fine. So at the end, I summarize it that the future of education is centered on developing thinking skills rather than simply delivering information. By teaching students how to think through critical analysis, creativity, and independent reasoning, we prepare them to face real world challenges, adapt to change, and make thoughtful decisions. This approach transforms learners into problem solvers and lifelong learners, which is essential in today's fast evolving world. Thank you very much. Bye.
That was a fantastic summary. You really tied it all together. I'm really glad we could walk through these ideas. If you ever want to